Hello, good evening, and welcome, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'd love to be able to say
Uh,
we're delayed because of
or,
technical
or
problems, but there was no technical problems, none whatsoever. It was just Grimsby knocking Manchester United out of the League Cup, 12-11 on penalties. Brian and Buemo doing us all a big favour and missing the decisive kick. Shawnee, they're unbelievable value, these shower cunts, aren't they?
uh, I'm not joking you. We should have probably streamed the last 15 minutes of what me and Gav were doing.
It was so good.
There was about 8 of us watching the game on 3 different time zones. Brian Robson was stepping up to take a pen on Gav stream at one
I know,
stage.
yeah. I know, yeah. It was unbelievable. They were 2-0 down. United got it back to 2-all. I haven't seen the goals, but I presume they just lumped one in the box and the big headed fella headed it in the goal. Like Johnny, like they get back to 2-all, they get beaten on penalties. But we're meant to be talking about Isak and transfers, but we have to talk about this. Like, where does he go from here, Shawnee? Genuinely, where does he go from here? Because he picks a team, bar two centre halves, we go, they're all literally first team players.
But you know what, Gav? I was having a discussion there with a couple of my mates in a WhatsApp, and I take the piss, but I do. I try to be like one of the lads was saying, like, how long do you reckon Amorim lasts? And I was like, what's the point in sacking him? Because all they're going to do now is look again. This is something that I spoke about at length. If Amorim didn't work out, would he be in a world of trouble? Because he sold all the wingers, or he's trying to. He's basically mutinised all the wingers. Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho, like he shipped them all out. And this is the thing with the 3-5-2. If you give a fella a load of money to spend on a team, it's a 3-5-2. You need to buy specialist players for specialist positions. Now, the first things first, right? Who do you bring in? All right, who do you bring in? Who's available? That's where you start, and then the next manager that comes in is going to want another 8 or 9 players, and that's going to cost you another 300-400 million. So I don't see where they're gone. I don't know. Amorim is probably going to have to do something that he's never done in his managerial career, where he just switches up and says, "Okay, I'm going to try something different here," because his whole managerial career can't be based around this 3-5-2 system that simply just does not work.
It's 3-4. It's 3-4-3.
Three,
It's more,
yeah, it's the
but it's
Christmas
not.
tree
It's a
or the
5-2-3. It's a 5-2-3. Basically, that's what it is. That's what it is. 5-2-3. He plays 3 at the back. He plays 2 wing backs. He plays 2 in midfield. Plays 1 right wing, 1 left wing, and 1 up front. Shawnee's reading all the WhatsApps now, no doubt about it. Like, I'm not going to lie. What?
Will you stop? Them your man outside your Viva. Will you stop? Yeah.
And your man, spare the thought for the real start of all this. It's the fella that won't cut his hair until United win 5 in a row. Genuinely, he's going to look like an evergreen tree come the end of the year, because 5 wins in a row, I don't know where they're getting them from. Genuinely, unless you arrange 5 friendlies against, I don't know, with some schoolboy teams or something like that. They are absolutely unbelievably shit. And there's no flexibility in them. And any United fan you speak to go, there's no plan B. Just keep sticking to what he is. 8 behind the ball when we don't have it. Blah, blah, blah. 9 behind the ball. So, but do you know what? Well done to Grimsby. They came out, they weren't afraid of them, they went at them, they got their goals lead. Yeah, they get pegged back, but they show great nerves in that penalty shootout. But how long should Amorim last? I genuinely think they should sack him. And I understand where you were saying, where do you go with it? But let's be honest about it. He's brought in a couple of players, right? He's brought in a Cunha, which you can use. He's brought in an Mbuemo, which you can use. He's brought in a Sesko, which you can use in most systems. I don't think he should be let anywhere near anything else. Like, I genuinely, if he signed Dorgu, didn't he? But honestly, I don't think he should be allowed to do anything else, because it's a bit like your man at West Ham. They give him a load of money in the last week, and then if it's all fucked, you have to get rid of him, Potter, and then you have to go through the season with players that some manager coming in doesn't want. It's and Steve Murphy says their plan B is just to throw Maguire up top and hit him, and that's Manchester United.
He's done that an awful lot, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's Manchester United. But anyway, just to go back, Monday night, Shawnee, Liverpool went great, but we got the win. But we spoke about it after the game. We done our post match. Well, the people doing the post match done the post match, and then I done a post match reaction extra, going through all the goals and the highlights on our Patreon. So if you want to sign up for our Patreon, the link is in the description. It's flying at the minute. People are absolutely loving it, and that's not me just saying that. If you join, you'll see all the comments. People are absolutely loving it. So but Seany, I want to talk to you more about the whole narrative around the game, the lead up to the game. They're going to do this, they're going to do that, this player's going to do this player's going to do that, and it felt to me like Newcastle actually got whipped up in this rather than playing a game of football for an awful lot of it. And that's not me saying Newcastle weren't really good on the night. I think they were all right on the night. Liverpool were poor, but all this stuff was around Isak. But Seany, the build up to it was fucking scandalous. Like, these fellas are walking into the ground wearing shades, it means they're going to fucking it's weird stuff, Seany.
They must have been up watching bleeding Michael Jordan's The Last Dance the night before, thinking they were going to war or something. I don't know. I have to say it was utterly pathetic. The discourse around the game was absolutely laughable. It was like a build up to WrestleMania or something. I was expecting bleeding Mills Lane and Herb Dean and fucking Bruce Buffer to be bleeding calling names out onto the pitch. I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But one thing I did know was I knew that ground was going to be absolutely feral, because it is at the best of times.
Yeah, and it's the first home game, and you expect that.
Yeah, despite what's gone on in the summer with Newcastle, however you feel about them, it's an unbelievable place to watch football. Like it's full every week. It was full every week in the Championship. That die hard. It's one club city, and they're passionate. They are passionate. You'll say that much. Probably too passionate. And I don't know what the story is. I don't know why they don't wear t-shirts. It's one of the maddest things I've ever seen. They're all just standing there bare chested in the fucking crowd. It's one of the maddest things I've ever seen. It's one of them phenomenons I don't really get. But I always felt it was going to be a tough game for Liverpool. To be honest with you, I know we go up 2-0, but I never expected them to change. And I think Slot made it perfect. Slot turns around and said it didn't really make a difference that they had 10 men, because they were just playing for free kicks and throw-ins, and they had to keep a lump on the ball in the box. So yeah, man advantage is literally gone. And look, listen, I thought they had some very good performances. I thought Bruno Guimaraes was brilliant, to be honest with you. I thought he was excellent. But Liverpool do as Liverpool do, and they dig it out, to be honest with you. The one passage of play we had in the second half just cuts them clean open, and it's a world-class finish. It's brilliant. I haven't stopped watching it. It's a fucking brilliant move. And again, Mo Salah, who probably had his poorest game in a Liverpool shirt in a long time, he's there. He's in the mix. He's in the mix when it's all happening. So I don't really... it's one of them things where you just want to get out with a clean bill of health and 3 points, and that's exactly what we did. Now, I think the discourse around Liverpool at the moment is a bit... I think it's a bit overlooked. I thought we looked better in transition defensively the other day, apart from a couple of times Canada gave it away on the halfway line. I thought he was very poor, to be honest with you. And I actually thought Kirkez's all-round game was actually much better, except for the second goal.
Fourth goal.
The fourth goal, sorry. I was more impressed with him, sort of from just a defensive standpoint. Obviously, apart from the set piece, I thought he had looked a little bit better. And it's not an easy place to go. Look, we go there last year and we draw 3-3. We throw the game away in the last minute, and we just felt like we did the same thing. But it was always just about getting the 3. And the thing is, Gav, that would probably be their biggest game of the season. There, apart from a couple of Champions League nights, it was just another 3 points for us and move on. So, yeah. Just one of them. Like it's never. I can't remember the last time we went there and had an easy game. To be honest with you.
We did between around 2008 up until around 2014 when we went and bashed them. We hit them for 5 or 6, 2 or 3 times. I remember Gerrard scoring a couple in a 5. I remember Henderson getting a couple in a 6. I think. And we get results there. But over this season and last season, it's blood and thunder, and I've nothing against that. I've nothing against the blood and thunder stuff. People are telling you Newcastle played really, really well. I think Newcastle played well. I think they done what they like to do well. But overall, I think, as a game, as a spectacle, I think it turned more into drama than it did quality. That's just my opinion on it. But listen, Davey T says the game against Sunderland will be bigger, Shawnee. Yeah, the Sunderland one, of course. That'll be absolutely massive.
I genuinely, and I mean it, and I know that's a mad game, but I can't see it like a Monday night unless that game is an evening game. Like Monday night, first home game of the season under the lights there, and they just had a band up on it over something that we're going to get into, which simply doesn't exist.
I would say they'll probably put Newcastle and Sunderland on a 12:30 on a Saturday, for security reasons, etc. And people ask why are Newcastle persistent to put Liverpool and other away fans up in the gods. I think there's something around that stadium where the entrance in brings you straight to the top. You don't, to the top tier. I don't think you can go into the bottom tier and then access from there. There's something around Newcastle's and the setup of that stand, because of course you're meant to have all away fans together, and you're meant to have a certain amount of them at pitch side. But Newcastle United and somebody else don't actually follow that. But it is to do with logistical reasons. I don't think they're just being pricks. The Premier League go in and assess the grounds and go from there. Ashley says your full WrestleMania reference is exactly the reference that she's using in her article today following the game. Her article will be posted on our Patreon. The one last week for Bournemouth was posted. A lot of people love that as well, so check that out there. So the title of this show is, are Newcastle gaslighting their fans? Right? And it's a genuine question I'm asking, because I've said it from the start. I don't think we should make out that Liverpool aren't complicit in some way here in this, right? And I don't think we should make out that Alexander Isak is in some way complicit, because Liverpool will know what's going on. They'll know the ins and outs. They'll know when to make a bid. They're looking after their own interests. That's just life. Isak is doing the same. That's just life. And in fairness, Newcastle are doing the same. That's just life. And I know Davey T is in the chat, and Davey might be able to give us an answer to this, because he's really, really honest. He's really, really good. I sat down today, Shawnee, and I started looking at Newcastle's behaviour, and I have done for a couple of weeks, but I really sat down today and I looked at the behaviour across all of this, right? And if I just base, and you can believe stuff and not believe stuff, but Eddie Howe came out with something last week, early on this week, or maybe the end of last week. And he was asked, did you discuss with Alexander Isak about his future in the summer? And he said, yeah, I have to admit, we did discuss his future in the summer. And that triggered me, because all the talk is, if you believe one little thing where Alexander Isak has told him that he wants to leave, plus the fact that they weren't going to offer him a new contract, which previously they were going to. If Eddie Howe was talking to him about his future, I would suggest that the conversation is going down the roads of, listen, do you want to go? Are you 100% want to go? Is there anything we can do to keep you? Blah, 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 blah. So if we just go on Eddie Howe's comments and take one little bit of information and believe it, I cannot get over how Newcastle are acting over this. And in turn, I can't understand how their fans haven't not turned on their club, but questioned their club a little bit more than they have. Because if I run through it quickly, Shawnee, he tells them he wants to go. Okay, they know this. If we believe that little bit of information,
well, that's documented now.
That's documented, and he said he's made comment.
I think we should do it this way, Gav. Go off absolutes and what we definitely know, right?
Right. Well, go on. You tell me the absolutes, and I'll tell you.
What we definitely know now is that apparently it was before the Everton game, the last game of the season. He spoke to Eddie Howe and told him of his well wish to leave. Right. The reason being was he was promised a contract in the previous summer, and Paul Mitchell pulled the contract off the table. All right,
yeah.
That's what we know. That happened. All right, we know that happened. The Newcastle board denied it, and then later Eddie Howe compounded it in his press conference by saying, yeah, I did. I spoke to Alexander Isak before the last game of the season, and it's a private matter, and this, that, and the other. And on top of that, the very first question Eddie Howe was asked after the Celtic pre-season game, he said in his own words, It's not an ideal situation. We think he has an injury. But that being said, I understand footballers have short careers. So that's him. But that was him basically saying he wants to go. He's not injured and he wants to go. So we know that now for definite. They are both the absolutes. All right. Isak's statement said what he said. Newcastle's statement denied any promise being made. And then Howe basically said, no, I did have a chat to him. Now, the biggest part for me, and the thing is what you're saying is it's gaslighting. I totally agree, but I don't only think that the Newcastle board are gaslighting their fans. I think they've actually gaslighted the manager, because I don't actually think there's been joined up thinking on this Isak thing since it all started.
Eddie Howe looks to me like somebody that the decision will be made and he will have no input whatsoever on it. That's what it feels like. If he genuinely feels like at this stage, I feel like I could walk into a press conference for Newcastle tomorrow and have more information on this than Eddie Howe, and I shouldn't be anywhere close to the amount of information Eddie Howe has. And
now, I'm gonna compound that, Gav, and I'm going to be honest with you here, right? I don't agree with any player not training and down in tools and not training, regardless of what you're told. He should be showing up, and he should be showing up.
And that's why I said he's not. It's not like he's not complicit in all this.
No, he should be turning up and training. It's the whatever about playing to turn up and train day in, day out, and do your fucking job. Do your job.
Yeah, I fully agree.
The flip side of that is, I actually reckon if Isak wasn't pushing to get out the door now, they would only be pretending to sign strikers now. And I reckon he knows that. I reckon he knows. If I play for these fuckers here, they're not even going to bother trying to get there.
But that's why I think his statement comes out. Because his statement comes out when the Player of the Year awards are on. And my look at it is, I think he's looking going, what is going on here? Why aren't he signing this fella or that fella? And he's probably being told by them, no, we're going to get this. And he said, no, fucking enough is enough now. I'm coming out and I'm saying it. And that's it. Because he was being painted as that. And that statement has come from Isak. Nothing else has happened since. He's not playing. He's being fined for not playing. And I agree with that, by the way. He should be fined if he's not willing to play, right? But I'm watching Newcastle fans online and it's like, oh, Isak's done this, Isak's done that. And every time, like, you have to remember, from the start of the season, the start of the pre-season, Newcastle are trying to sign strikers, right? And Newcastle fans probably at the time are under the impression, we're signing Vissa as a backup to Isak. Or we're signing a Joe Pedro as backup to Isak. The Sesko one breaks it all because you're not spending that money as a backup to anyone. And Ekatike the same, right? And you're kind of going, but I just don't see Newcastle fans running going, hold on lads, we don't like this fella, right? Isak, he's a rat, he's this, he's whatever, right? You can take, and listen, they're always going to side on that side because they're Newcastle and this player doesn't want to play for them anymore. And we do the exact same. But at what stage do Newcastle turn and go, lads, we are now 5 days, less than 5 days away from a transfer window closing, okay? And we do not have the people in the door to sort this situation out. We simply don't. Because, right, you can get on take the moral high ground and go, well, we won't sign anyone and Isak stays, right? So now you're left with a player that's not going to play for you. He's going to take all the fines in the world. He's not going to play for you. And you're still down a man because the Calvin Wilson we're replacing him job is a complete nonsense because you're not spending 60 million to replace 400 minutes of Premier League football. You simply aren't. So why aren't they turning around and saying, by all means, be upset at this fella because he wants to go. Be upset at Liverpool if you want because he's going to go there, right? But at what stage did he turn around and say to themselves, right lads, we might have to look at something realistically here and go, we need 2 forwards. And we're 5 days out. And we don't have either of them. And we're fannying about with fucking Strand Larson, right? We're fannying about with fucking Vissa, right? Who's gone back to training, I think. The Sesko stuff, the Ekatike stuff, the Joe Pedro stuff. Keep going. All the names being linked. And none of them is happening. When do Newcastle, Jackson, nothing there. Nicholas Jackson, nothing going on. Chelsea are literally fucking throwing him out. Throwing him out the door. and Newcastle are standing there. So Davey says he is training.
Think about it now, right? Now, imagine like Eddie Howe's is football is in his family, it's in his blood. Don Howe, like there's a legacy there. Like he's been around football dressing rooms for the longest, all right? Anyone who's been in a football dressing room will know the potential job he has on now getting Isak back into the dressing room. Whatever, if the player.
But Davey T does say Isak is training after everyone has gone home, so can't be fined. If he was named in the matchday squad and refuses to play, then he can be fined. I don't think that's happened yet, right? So, fair enough, right? But what's going to change? That's my argument.
I being honest with you, I reckon, and I'm going to stick by it. I'm going to kind of stick to me guns on this. I reckon he was probably told 2 weeks ago, look, you're going to go when we sign a striker, and then the longer it's going on, Newcastle have used the likes of Craig Hope and Lee Ryder and Luke Edwards to say, no, he's not going unless we get 2 strikers. And Isak's probably sitting there going, you can't even get fucking one in the door here, and I'm just sitting around here. Because he hasn't had a pre-season. If he signs for Liverpool, probably not going to see him till
October.
You know what I mean? You're probably just not going to. They won't take the risk. So, I think the player's been let down by the club in that sense. He should be training, there's no doubt about it. But I think the club...
He is training after everybody else.
Yeah. The club and the media have stored up this huge narrative in the media that Liverpool are the worst cunts in the world, and Isak is the big bad wolf. And like they're not complicit in any of this. They have to be. You can tell by Eddie Howe. He's already said, look, I've had conversations with him. You can just tell. And I reckon it'll get sorted, because I reckon they're just going to have to bite the bullet and say, there's 65 for Strand Larson, and just take the 60 for Vissa and give us them. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to go to Christmas and try selling them without a striker?
But I've
actually been outside of that, like, and I said this to you earlier on, Gav. I've actually been genuinely impressed by Newcastle on the pitch. I thought you were decent against Villa, just lacked the cutting edge up front, and they were very good against us the other night. But I think the ones getting away with this massively here are the PIF and Newcastle's owners, because I think if the promise of a big bottomless pit of cash and unlimited money wasn't there, the Newcastle fans would be on this ownership. On their tails.
But you see, there's no big promise on pot of money, because they can't do anything with any pot of money.
But what I mean, but Gav, they look. Let's face it, Davey T. I'm not saying you, but we seen them walking around with the burkas on. And
the idea, and
we've seen them doing it. We heard them singing the songs, and I get it. Look, you would have taken anyone after Ashley. I get that, but you need to realise, like, even some of the propaganda pieces putting out by the likes of Henry Winter and your man Covey from Sky, like, who are just literally shields and mouthpieces for the PIF regime. Like, they've been terrible. I think they've been shocking since Davey walked out the door. There's a huge power vacuum at Newcastle there when there's no DIF, there's nobody making decisions, and it looks like to me there's no synergy between Eddie Howe and the decision makers. And
you've used the word there. You've used the word there called synergy, right? And I want to come to that, right? Because I'm glad you said it. Davey T said there's no way back. It'll come to an end by Monday. I'm actually sick to death of it, and I just regret it's been Liverpool and the falling, because Davey T has an awful lot of time for Liverpool, right?
I'm sick to death of it as well, Dave.
Yeah. I think everybody is. I think the question I'm trying to ask here is, and Davey being probably the only Newcastle fan in it, is probably the one that I can answer, and I'll answer it now in a sec. Ard says this, and it's interesting. They've said they've had meetings with him on Monday. It took them too long to accept he wants to go. They've tried to change his mind so many times. Why are they having meetings with this player on Monday? Why didn't they go to him at the start of the window and say, here's the meeting, can we do anything, yes or no? Right? No, I want to go. I want to fucking go. Right? And you can get top dollar from me. And listen, I'm happy now on July the 1st for you to go and sign 1 or 2 strikers by fucking August the 1st, get it out of the way, and then I can go, and everyone's happy. To me, them having meetings on Monday, right, tells me that they've tried to fucking ignore all this as much as they can. Now they're scrambling for strikers because they know this fella's not going to go. And then they went, do you know what, can we get anything done here? Do you know what, go back to him and see if he'll fucking stay. Monday the 25th of August.
Ridiculous.
They're having a meeting with him 7 days before the window ends. Having known, if it's Monday the 1st of August, they know since the 19th of May. Right? The 19th of May. So they've known for seven-ish weeks. Right? I would say I'm about right there, right? 7 or 8 weeks. They know that he wants to go. So why they having meetings with him on Monday to try to convince him when he's told them what's going on?
I don't even think they did, Gav.
I think the talk was that the owner or whatever, the main man, was in town and he did have a meeting with him. If we take that on face value,
it's
right?
all optics to say, listen, I guarantee
probably is optics to say we had a meeting, we tried our best, and he still wants to leave. Yeah, I get that.
In the next 2 days,
but I don't think they need them optics, because what's happened is they've stayed so quiet, and again, not come out at the start and said he's not for sale, and that's the end of it. They've left it for so long for the like of Luke Edwards and Luke Edwards in particular had to come out and put all this stuff out in defence of the club, and he's not for sale and this, that and the other. They've let that go on for so long. They actually don't need the optics of a meeting on Monday. They just don't. All they have to do is fucking agree to sell him and put it out to Luke Edwards or whoever else and say, we tried our best, we asked him, he wouldn't go, we had to sanction the sale. And that does the job. It absolutely does the job. You know what I mean? It's Davey C says, it was very strange. It was Jamie Rubin and a PIF official. What's to say it was asking him to stay. It might have been telling him what's happening. But yeah, I get that point. I do get that point. And maybe they have gone to do that because, for me, the statement from Isak is the one where he decided enough was enough. And you still have journalists there trying to tell you that the signing of Strand Larsen, who, by the way, someone in the chat said that Wolves are on the verge of signing some £21 million striker from Genk, which will get that money back for Strand Larsen, and then they'll make profit off him, £60 million going to Newcastle. But, you know, they're trying to tell you that he's the replacement for Wilson. These are journalists telling you this. And they're constantly telling you this.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. This is what they've drummed up, Gav. Like, first of all, it was Ekatike going to play a 4-4-2 with Isak, and then they were going to replace Callum Wilson, who played something like 400 minutes last year in the Premier League, with a 60-70 million player, when they're already hamstrung by PSR, which they're telling you as well, they're not, which they clearly are. Look outside of that, the James Trafford deal made an absolute bollocks of it, like completely fucked that up. Joe Pedro and Mbembo are two that they went to, and Cunha, 3 that they went to before they looked at Ekatike. Then apparently Liverpool have been talking to Ekatike since January, and it was all a load of bollocks. There was no agreement between Ekatike and Newcastle at all, or even with Frankfurt for that matter. So, and I just think they've spun and spun and spun. They've spun the Newcastle, because you know what, we're all tribalistic, and I remember when Coutinho was going, I remember how I felt Torres, Suarez. I know you're on tenterhooks, you're on the edge, and they've used that. And what they've done is they've actually, with the new model of social media and how it works and the monetization of media, they've used this story to just push everything out, and they've created a massive like, it's like a divide that doesn't really exist. Like I seen stuff the other now. No offense to any Geordies listening to this podcast, like calling Liverpool and Newcastle rivals, and then I seen the record. They haven't beaten us in the league in 10 years. It's not a rivalry. It's not. They beat us in the cup final last year, and fair enough, they were worth the result. 100% that can happen. Totally.
Yeah. I'm
not being dismissive here, but they're just not rivals. They're not rivals. We haven't been rivals. We've never been rivals. We might be someday, but we're not now. And all Liverpool have done here is go, we want to buy that player. Okay, maybe some people think £110 million is a derisory bid. Okay, fair enough. It's still close to a British record transfer bid. Fair enough. I hear you. But still, Liverpool bid, it was immediately rejected, and Liverpool just basically said, based on Liverpool's brief, this is a fucking circus and we're not getting involved in this. You let us know when you have your house in order, and we'll come back to them. And that's basically all that's happened. And in the meantime, Liverpool have just been vilified by Alan Shearer, Palmers, and whoever it is, like saying, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing this, that, and the other." Isak was told by the club before the end of last season he can leave. Isak's agent would have been aware of that. He would have notified all the clubs that his client wants to play for. I'm telling you now this because this is actually how it works. Who can pay for him? All right, Liverpool. Do you fancy going there? Yes. Okay. Richard Hughes. Isak is available because he was told he'd be allowed to let go in May or whatever, right? This is how much it's going to take. Yeah. Do you think Liverpool are going to go in and slap down 130 million for his bid? Never. Never, never, never. We see him with Birds. It takes fucking time. It's all part of the dance. Like, the discourse has been ridiculous from Newcastle. Absolutely ridiculous. And you should be only mad with one party in this. And that's their own board. Because they failed who I believe is their biggest asset, because I think he's a top coach. I genuinely do. I think if Eddie Howe was in English, he'd be Spanish, he'd be highly coveted. That's the God honest truth. I think English managers have a little bit of a stigma around them, but I think he's a top coach, genuinely. I don't think he's actually a bad bloke either. I could actually listen to him talk. I've had a degree of kind of pity for him, or sympathy, I'd say. Pity's the wrong word. Sympathy for him throughout this whole thing. But Newcastle's biggest asset by a mile, regardless of the really good players they have there on the books. I think he's the best asset, and I think he's been failed massively by a hierarchy. Massively. I
couldn't agree more with you.
I was having discussions in a Reddit thread, and they were saying, no, well, this is Eddie Howe and his brother are in charge of transfers. Yeah, that's the fucking board's fault. That's the board's fault. That is genuinely the board's fault. He was ill health last year. He had time out of dugout. He was in hospital. He was seriously ill, and he's had to come back now. And he's trying to run a Premier League football club whilst managing them. It's virtually impossible. It's virtually, and he's been, and then you have the lads, the PIF telling all the lads in the media he's not going and he's staying, and we'll make him rot there. Where Eddie Howe needs a fella to put the ball in the net for him, or else they won't be in European football next year of any capacity. Because it's just it's how demanding the league is. So I think he's being failed massively, and I think the PIF and the media on the Newcastle side has spun a big yarn. And I tell you one thing as well, Gav, Fabrizio Romano and the likes are also complicit, because they've profited off this massively as well, because they've pushed the narrative from the Liverpool side. Now, I'm not going to say that Liverpool aren't involved in that. I don't know whether they are or they aren't, but you just bet your bollocks to a barn dance that Romano was making bank off them tweets, because he's making $70-80 off a tweet at this rate, and he's doing 15-20 of them a day. So do the maths.
Yeah. Davey T says his agent has been the influencer. That's his job, I suppose. If it had been done professionally, then Newcastle fans, although disappointed, would have accepted it. That's my honest opinion, and I value that opinion, Davey. Right? And I agree with you. I do agree with you if it was done professionally, because elements of this from Alexander Isak hasn't been professional. I think the fact that he's refusing to train or play for the club, I think is unprofessional. But if you go back to it, and this is the question I'm asking, how professional have Newcastle United Football Club been in all of it? And that genuinely, that's the question I'm asking, because let me put it to you this way, right? And I'll use Seany as the guinea pig here. Seany, you're a Newcastle United fan, right? You're fuming with Isak, right? Which you're quite entitled to do. You're fuming with Liverpool Football Club, far away, right? But at the end of the day, come Tuesday morning next week, you're going to be sitting there, and the chances are you'll either have Alexander Isak, who doesn't want to play for you, or you won't, right? And if you do, or if you don't, you still need one, if not two strikers in the door. And let's go on the high side of the percentage here is that he won't be a Newcastle player by next Monday. As a Newcastle fan, you're looking at this and you're going, right, okay, we're all annoyed over here, but can we please have a look at the inability of A, the club to control this situation, right? B, the ability of the club to go through this process without the player having to make statements in public and call us a liar, right? And C, be able to recruit the players that you want to bring in. We need to bring in by next Tuesday. Like, there doesn't seem to be any question of that. It feels to me like Alexander Isak could sign for Liverpool on Friday morning, right? And Newcastle fans will spend Friday and Saturday being absolutely fuming over it. And then on Sunday they go, what do we do now? What do we do now? Because if Newcastle United don't sign the strikers, which I believe they will, but if they don't, if it gets really close where they go, we had to get a fella in on loan, right? Do Newcastle fans then go, yeah, okay, fair enough, Isak's gone, but what the fuck are we doing over here? What the fuck do we do over here? Do you know what I mean? Why haven't we got players in? And it feels to me like it's just gonna go bypass them a little bit. And the reason, Shawnee, I'm asking the question is, I've yet to see a single Newcastle fan question in detail, forget PIF, the people that are running the club internally, right? I wouldn't even say the manager because I feel like he's being just ran roughshod over. But questioning the ability of Newcastle to go and sign footballers. They're not questioning it.
But do you know what? Look, and again, it's a known place. Liverpool, Newcastle. Look at the Wissa thing, right? Not really much being said about him striking and doing this and not playing and not training or whatever. Like, I've seen a lot of the argument from the Newcastle side being, if we can't get a player of Isak's calibre in, there's no point telling them. Well, players of Isak's calibre don't want to play for Newcastle. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say it, but they don't. He wants to go on and play at the upper echelon and challenge and win major honours. And I mean that with the utmost respect. So trust your scouting and go and no, we'll go for Sesko, who cleared. Now, I know the argument will be United are shy, which they are fucking shy. But at the end of the day, I'm going to sound like Gary Neville here, but still Manchester United. They still have the means to pull players in whatever way. The players are still allured to the badge or whatever. Why? I don't know why, because it's a fucking complete basket case, that place. We all know that now. Newcastle are doing exactly towards what we're doing to them with Strand Larsen. Alright, we're better than you. We're in Europe. We're a Champions League football team. Why don't you come up, take the step up, play at this level for us? What they don't actually realise they've done now is, you're going to have lads and their agents going, do you know what would be a great move for you? Newcastle for a couple of years. Get a few goals there and you'll get moved on. You'll go on to bigger things. Because they've done it in the past. Gini Wijnaldum, they've had other players leave, build players up and
Andy
they move
Cole.
on. And I'm sure Andy Cole, Bruno Guimaraes, I'm sure could have had a pick of many clubs. I think if Bruno Guimaraes come on the market tomorrow, I don't think he'd be short suited, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're actually doing now is, you're making them agents and players go, do you know what, like, they're going to make your life difficult if you try to get out of there. So maybe let's not go there. And they've actually cut off that nose to spite their face here. This, like you saying, it's the decision makers. The PIF are the decision makers, because I believe Eddie Howe's brother is just like an interim stand-in. How have they not got? And how have they not replaced Ashworth? Where's Paul Mitchell gone? Like, you know what I mean? Like, all the money they have in the world, and they can't get a top class operator as a DOF in. Like, I can't for the life of me understand where they thought they were going to get with this process. Now, I still think we sign Isak, and I do think Newcastle will get the two strikers. But if they had done this in early July, they'd probably be, you could argue they'd have 6 points in the league.
May do, yeah. Because you wouldn't have Anthony Gordon running around like a fucking deer in the headlights trying to take his fucking legs off.
They'd probably have 6 points in the league. Let's call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
They would have beaten Villa, and I think with 10 men and 11 men and a proper striker, and all the emotions taken out of that game the other night, they probably would have beaten us, because Liverpool still look like they're figuring it out. Now, they're getting results, but we look like we're figuring it out massively. So they've just shot themselves in the foot here with this, and I just think when the dust settles here and whether Isak stays or goes, I think there's going to be some introspective analysis is going to need to be done from the Newcastle fans as to exactly what's going on in the background at that club. Because I think it's been a shit show. And don't get me wrong, I think they've made some good signings. Jacob Ramsey, I really like him.
I think he's a really good footballer.
Alex Yeo looks like he could be a top talent. They got, who else did they get?
Elanga.
He's good, but like I feel like
I think Elanga comes into his own if you had an Alexander Isak in the team, because when you have a focal point for Newcastle, if you watch them, and you know Newcastle player Thiago as well, isn't it? He signed that centre back. Sorry, Bob reminded me there in the chat. I think when you watch Newcastle against Villa and Liverpool, they've a winger playing up front, right? So the link up isn't quite there. I think if you put Elanga into last season's Newcastle team with Isak there, or any focal point, I think you get more out of him because he knows what he's hitting, he knows what he's doing. Whereas with Anthony Gordon isn't going to make the runs the striker wants to make. Anthony Gordon isn't going to come off and hold the ball up like a striker would. I think you'll see I think Elanga's a good sign. Whether you agree with the money or not, well, look, money's money. Like you see the money being floated around. Look at the Isak thing. It'll probably end up at 140 million quid. I think their signings have been good. I don't know the centre back. A few people have spoken who said he's decent, But in saying that, right, I think they need Isak to go in order to improve their squad. I genuinely do. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll sign 2 strikers, and I actually think they'll get both of them for 100 million quid, right? But that extra money that you're getting off Isak, you have to remember the 100 million quid that they're putting down, it's only actually 20 million quid because it's spread over 5 years. But the 120 that they get out of Liverpool as a flat transfer fee, forget the add-ons, they can put that on their books immediately, which frees them up massively for not only the next, not this window, the next one and the one after. Plus, it frees you up with UEFA.
We're having this conversation on the 27th of August.
Yeah.
Like, this conversation should have been had on the 27th of May at the end of the season.
This is me. Like, this is me point. This is my exact point.
Yeah.
Because if you turn this around, right? If you turn this around, if Liverpool were selling, let's say Coutinho, right? We didn't want to sell Coutinho. We didn't sell Coutinho, right? Because we didn't feel like we were in the position to sign a replacement. Liverpool never went looking for players at the time. Never went looking for them, right? Now, if Liverpool had been looking at, pick someone, Goretzka. Fekir, not Goretzka, the other fella that was... Goetze, yeah. If you're looking at Goetze, or you're looking at... Pick a couple of number 10s, right? And Liverpool were being linked with them, you go, right, well, you're saying he's not for sale, but you're fucking trying to look at all these players. Liverpool didn't. What Liverpool said was, fine, what we'll do is, we'll sell him in January, and what we'll do is, we feel like we're good up front, we'll sign Van Dijk. And then in the summer, we'll sign a fucking goalkeeper or whatever we need. That's what we're going to do. Newcastle probably need to do that. But if Newcastle weren't bidding for all these strikers, you go, you know what, they're holding on to them. Fair play. But they haven't come out and said it. Liverpool did. But Liverpool improved themselves off the back of it.
Even then, Gav, with that statement last week, they just should have just said he's not for sale. But they didn't do that. They basically said the conditions of the deal haven't been met. Yeah. After telling us for the whole summer that he's not for sale.
Yeah.
But when I mean telling us, I mean through other channels. Like, that was their opportunity then to bury the hatchet last week. If they really, if they knew in their heart to hearts, we are not selling this fucking fella. If they come in with 180 million, I don't care. This is principle. He's staying here, and exactly the line they were giving us. That statement would have been: Newcastle remains his position that it's had for the whole summer. Alexander Isak will not be sold under any circumstance in this summer window.
Yeah.
End of story.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Good night, God bless. That's the end of it. They did not say that. They said the conditions of a deal have not been met yet.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is,
every avenue they've had to shut it down, they
refused to.
They've refused to, which has further just poured flames on the fire. And then, like, Liverpool bad, doing nothing. Like, haven't said a word. Joyce Pearce have not said a fucking word on this. Only that if they feel it's doable, they will go back to the table. That's been the line consistent. Liverpool's line has been consistent along the whole time. If he's for sale, we want him. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. Newcastle are pointing out that they're frustrated that they haven't had a bid yet from Liverpool. So Liverpool bid 110 million. And they were like, no, stick it up your hole. So Liverpool says, well, do you want to do this in public now? Where we go 115, 120, 125, 130, bingo. No, we're not going to do that. Just let us know when you're going to sell and then we'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I think Liverpool know the exact number it's going to take to get this deal done, and Newcastle the same. And I
think everybody knows the number.
Yeah,
I go back to it. I think the row here. I think the row here is Isak and Newcastle. I don't think Liverpool are involved at all. I think the argument right now is, and a couple of weeks ago I said it, the argument is probably the fee that he leaves for, right? Because that 110 million bid is in, and then Isak has a problem, right? But I actually think it's moved on now to Liverpool are willing to pay the money you're asking for, which I don't think is 150. I think it's 120 plus probably 10 to 15 in add-ons. That's where I think it'll end up. But I think Isak's issue now is they're willing to pay it. Can you please take it? And Newcastle going, well, we haven't signed a striker yet. And he's going, this is a load of bollocks. Because you just cannot seem to sign strikers. And the reason they can't sign strikers is because they're lowballing. And let's be honest, they've thrown that at Liverpool, derisory. The bid for Wissa is derisory, right? I'm not too bad on the Larson one because they've signed him for 27 and they're offering him. They've signed him for 25 and they're offering 50. They're offering a double your money job. But again, that's after Wolves agreed that deal last year. It was an obligation to buy, I think, with Strand Larson. So Wolves could probably say, yeah, we're after them goals in the Premier League. He's not worth 25 anymore. He's now worth 50 to 60. You know what I mean? And I think the argument now is Isak going, I just want to go. And can you please go and sort yourselves out? Just back on the director of football stuff I left on the screen, Davey C says, Darren Eales, maybe because of his cancer battle, has escaped criticism. He needed to act quickly with the changes. Director of football has been shambolic. Two top supposedly blokes have come and gone. Before we leave the Isak stuff, do you think he signs for Liverpool? And if he does, who do you think Newcastle get?
Yeah, I think he'll sign. I think it'll get done. I'd say it'll be Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if it's dragged out till Monday, Tuesday for the whole furore of the deadline day.
Well, the window closes 7 p.m. on Monday. So are you saying it can go to right up to the limit on Monday?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think it will. I think it will. I think just for the drama, because I genuinely do think Sky collaborate with clubs as well on this to make sure something's going on the last day. Call me tinfoil hat, but I just think there's monetary gain there for everyone, with traffic and everything to be stored up on the day. I do think they'll get him, because the first domino's kind of fallen with Wolves getting that lad from Genk, and I expect them to tie up a deal for Strand Larson. And I don't know whether they'll even go back in for Wissa, but there's not a chance that Isak plays football again.
Yeah.
For Newcastle.
Okay.
So I see it getting done. I see Liverpool doing about him and Guayi.
Davey T says Peter Random Wingy is driving Isak down on Monday, which is an L classic. Remember at the time he just sat outside QPR's ground trying to get Harry Redknapp on the lower. In his West Brom tracksuit, and you're like, "What you doing up there, you mad thing?" He said, "Is Harry Redknapp around anyway?"
He's gone home. He went home hours ago. But El Vinny O'Connor's going to be busy, I'd say, on Monday.
Yeah. I think he does go to Liverpool. I've thought of it a long time. You know this. I've said it over and over again.
You've been very consistent.
As soon as he left him out of the Celtic game and came out with the words that he came out with, I said that man is gone. He's not playing with Newcastle. That's it. It's over. I think he does go. I think they do get Strand Larson. That news tonight around the gang striker is encouraging for Newcastle. I don't know what they do beyond that, because the Vissa one, I think they might go back looking at Vissa. Real talk says Jackson to Newcastle, but he's been into Bayern Munich on loan now. Do you know who I can't understand why someone hasn't gone in for? Because they're in the shit and they're brutal. Someone goes in and just puts a few quid down on Jarrett Bowen and says, "Look, get the fuck out of there." I know Danny Dore and all that shit. You know you love him and all, and his daughter.
think the only thing going against him is his age.
Yeah, but maybe if you got a decent price, then you could get a good couple of years out of Jarrett Bowen. But I think Newcastle do end up with 2. And I think Isak does go. 2 questions before we go, because people were asking them. And sorry, someone else asked about Elliott and someone asked about Guehi. I think Guehi plays in the Conference League qualifier tomorrow night for Crystal Palace, and I still think Guehi signs to Liverpool as well. People are saying, "Oh, will he sign Leone?" No, I'm not having that. I think he's going in for another experienced centre back. I think they will get Guehi. Harvey Elliott, I'm not too sure on. I think Liverpool might be comfortable to keep him, but I think if a big bid came in the next 4 or 5 days, I'm thinking 40 plus million. Liverpool might be looking to act on that. Then again, Harvey Elliott could be a January move if they want to just keep that squad bolsters a little bit because of AFCON. 2 questions for you, Sean. He won't keep you too long. Here we go. Darren, from early on, I kept it, Darren. I wasn't ignoring you. Lads, if you get a chance, have a chat about Stefan Bajcetic. I really hope he can kick on and be Gav and Seany's deputy this season. Before his injury, he put some great displays in. What's your opinion? Now, Tyler Morton's gone to Lyon. McConnell is going to Ajax on loan. And Liverpool apparently feel that Bajcetic can come back in. He's rehabilitating at the Ajax at the moment, and they want him to push on from his good displays for, was it Las Palmas last season? And they see a really good future for him, apparently, Slot. So where are you on him?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. I know there was a few clubs.
I really like him as a footballer.
I just think he looks huge. When I've seen the videos of him in the inside training, he looks like he's really had to fill it out. I know he's currently injured. I don't know when he's expected back.
He had a surgery at the end of last season, right after the season ended, and everyone knew he's going to be out for, I think they said 3 months. So you're probably looking at, probably back in full training, maybe start of October, maybe. That's where we are. So it's not like they're rushing him back.
I don't know whether Liverpool just fancy keeping him around, doing the rehabilitation on their book, and then when it comes to January, probably moving him out then and letting him play football then, where you could probably play a few Carabao Cup games up around Christmas time when it gets a bit sticky there, when you have a third round FA Cup and a.
So if I put it to you this way, if Bajcetic comes back and he's fully fit, if he was fully fit and gone, would you put him in a Liverpool squad?
Yeah, I don't see why not, Gav, because whenever I've watched him, I've been very impressed by him, to be honest with you. He's a very good footballer. We seen him when he broke through. We all thought he was going to kick on, and just as kind of his body's letting him down a little bit, which is unfortunate. But like,
young player, a lot of football.
Yeah. I think he's a good player. But again, like, it's hard to know because is it one you play by ear rather than bank on? Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking if I put him in the squad and I have to bank on him a bit, and the injuries come back, you leave yourself short. Is it one way you play it by ear? I genuinely reckon that they looking at his time to recover, and potential suitors are probably going, well, he's out until middle of October, November. What's the point of bringing him in now? Like, would he even pass medical now? Like that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
And maybe Liverpool are just saying, do you know what? We'll keep him around, let him do the rehab on our watch, keep him here with their sports science team. And
if he kicks on, brilliant. And if he doesn't, he's fit for someone else.
Exactly. And I think that's, and Gavin Walsh said there he's homegrown, so I'd imagine that probably has got something to do with it, to be honest with you. That would allow Liverpool to register a full squad. So yeah, look, I'm pulling for him big time. Again, like, I seen people online moaning about Martin ripping her up at Lyon, like, not aware that these fellas would have been watching him daily at the exit and decided that, alright, we'll move him on. I know people wanted him playing instead of Curtis Jones for the night away.
Yeah, but the Premier League is light years ahead of the league on, so let's and that's not against them.
Yeah, I thought Curtis Jones was brilliant, by the way, the other night. I don't understand the slander. So,
it's just standard slander. It's just people are on the default settings. They live on hills and they lie on them. And Wango says, and I shouldn't. You're probably the wrong person to fucking ask this. Have you guys talked about Trent yet? Because rumour out rumour out today that he could be set for a sensational return to England, apparently. Man City linked with him in January. Is this just, I'll throw it out there because he didn't play and Carvajal did, or? Because you actually are the best person because you watch the Spanish gear.
Yeah, no. Again, if you watch, I don't think there's many native Spanish speakers in the chat, but if every night there's a show on in Spain called in Chiringuito, and I'd stick it on at some stage, and it's brilliant stuff. But to be honest with you, it's deadly because it gives you like it just basically chops up all the best bits of all the interviews from managers, and it gives it to them. And like if you look at the way Alonso talked after the Madrid game the other day, you'd be thinking, fucking hell. He's had enough now. He's not having any prisoners because he bombed Vinny Jr. and he bombed Trent. And when they asked him, he turns around and says, "Listen, as a manager, it's my job to pick a team that I think is best to get results, and that's what I've done there." So it's as simple as that. It's team over everything else. So they'll know that, like, simple as. And Carvajal was fucking brilliant. I just, again, we were speaking earlier about levels. Wolves, Newcastle, Liverpool, Real Madrid. As much as I love Liverpool, it's a different beast playing for them. It's a different beast. You can't have a bad half of football, or you're toast. And that's the way they are. And the thing is, their fans won't give a fuck if he's not playing. They won't be kicking up more that if the new fella who's coming in on X amount is not playing. They won't care. If you're not winning games or you're not scratching their itch, you're not for them. It's as simple as that. Remember, these are the fellas who protested against Ronaldo and waved their jerseys and whistled them off. Probably the greatest goal scorer in the history of the game. That's the way they are. They wanted fuck all to do with Ancelotti after last year, who was the most successful manager in history. So that's what happens. And I think if you look at Trent's face coming on the pitch today, can't really hide it. You can't hide it. Have a look at it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Look at the footage of him walking onto the pitch. And this was always going to be the case for him. I could sit here now and laugh and call him every name out under the sun, but it just comes down to one thing for me. I think when your ego outgrows your heart, you're toast, no matter where you're playing your football. And I'd imagine his ego's been badly bruised because he'd be going there every day and watching someone like Carvajal, who is genuinely one of the greatest right backs in the history of the game, and seeing the level. And Carvajal won't give a fuck who Trent is. He'd be looking at him going, "Who are you? I don't care. I don't care if you've one name in the back of your jersey. I don't care if your brother's wandering around fucking Barbados thinking he's fucking this, that, and the other. I don't care about you. We don't care about you. You're playing for Madrid now. This is not the fucking Trent show or anything like that." So it's real talk saying early days for Trent, no different from Virts. I don't actually think it is because there's no Virts will be fine. There's no chance of Virts being left out of this team.
I think Virts has been absolutely okay.
I'm not getting into it.
I've seen it. No, I'm not. Without getting into it, I've seen people saying, what are we going to do with Virts? To be honest with you, I think the problem with Virts is I don't think it's Virts. I think it's everyone fucking else. They're obsessed with getting the football to him. So literally, he's surrounded all the time. I think Liverpool should be looking to play one more pass before they get it to him, or one more sort of half incisive pass to open a bit of space. They just keep giving it to him everywhere. And I was at Anfield 2 weeks ago and I couldn't believe it. I was watching going, why are you trying to tread through to him and put him in all sorts of fucking trouble instead of giving it to Salah or giving it to somebody else? Verts will be absolutely fine. I think he's been absolutely fine.
I think it's been overdone massively, to be honest with you.
The Trent stuff, we always knew he was going to come up against Carvajal for that right back spot. And my thing is that I think he would have had, people would have said he had more chance in this five at the back kind of model that Xavi Alonso had at Leverkusen. And I disagree completely because I don't think you need a serious engine and a serious want to run up and down a fucking pitch to be a wing back in a Xavi Alonso system. And Trent just isn't that. He just isn't that. And he's gone there. He's loads of hype around him. And rightfully so. He's a wonderful footballer. He's a brilliant footballer. But he's going to have to bide his time. That's Real Madrid he's walking into. You know what I mean? Like, there's players who come into this Liverpool squad and he's fucking brilliant. And he won't walk into this Liverpool team either. Do you know what I mean? So, a bit early on Trent. I think he'll have to bide his time, but I don't see the links him back to England. I just can't see it. I think he's put so much on a new experience and a new challenge and blah blah blah. You know, to turn up back up in the northwest of England within 6 months would be a bit bananas, to be fair. Right, we're going to leave it at that. Like I said earlier, if you want to join our Patreon, the link is in the description. Everyone is really enjoying it at the time. Take it for a month. Pay for a month. If you like it, brilliant. If you don't, knock her on the head. We're absolutely fine with that. Like, subscribe, comment, all that messing as well. And our special offer for NordVPN is still there. A lot of you have taken it up, and we've got some feedback on NordVPN, and a lot of you have taken it up. So if you need to jump from country to country to get access to sports or movies or series or whatever you want to do, use NordVPN. If you want some security while you're out working on the laptop and you don't have to use this dodgy kind of local internet, use that. And if you're traveling with kids and everything else and you need it for more people, every account is subject to being available to 10 different devices. So there you go. That's in the link in the description, and you're getting about 4 months free on each subscription as well. Seany, thanks a million. Big up to the Grimsby boys. I don't know who they got in the next round of the Cup, but all I know is you didn't get anyone. So there you go. Liverpool have got Southampton at home in the next round of the League Cup, so that's good as well. We will be back with you tomorrow, Friday. Yeah, tomorrow and Friday, definitely, I'd say. And in the build-up to the Arsenal game on Sunday, and around that, you will have your reaction extra, your Sunday night, all that sort of stuff. Seany won't be with us on Sunday night because Seany's gone to the Arsenal game. Whoop. Big up for Seany, and he got looked after.
By the way, fair play to Josh Sexton from the Anfield Rap.
There you go.
Looked after me big time. So
there you go. Happy days.
Save me skin.
So Seany had himself all booked up, and he's going to go and have a lovely time in Liverpool watching the Reds against Arsenal and their 11 centre-backs that they're going to bring with them. Thanks a million for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.